So, friends, in the previous session, we have understood the concept of learning and its characteristics, and now we are aware about the varied learning styles of the learners. So, varied learning styles of the learners cannot be met by mere chalk and talk method. So, we require the innovative approaches to instruction. So, here lies the importance of blended learning and flipped classroom. So in this particular session, Mrs. Amandeep Kaur, who is Assistant Professor in the Department of Education and Education Management, would be interacting with you on the concept of blended learning, its advantages over traditional mode of imparting instruction and various models of blended learning. Mrs. Amandeep Kaur is basically a chemical engineer. She did her BTech in engineering and then ME in environmental engineering. And presently, she is also pursuing PhD in chemical engineering. She joined NITTT at Chandigarh in July 2014, and till date, she has to her credit more than 11 years of teaching experience. And her areas of specialization include environmental engineering, educational management, evaluation and assessment, and classroom communication. And she has taught several subjects at the undergraduate and postgraduate level, including fluid mechanics, environmental sciences, natural disaster management, and at the MTech level, research methodology, project planning and management. And she has to her credit 9 publications, out of which 5 are in the international journals. Mrs. Amandeep Kaur has developed and successfully coordinated one AICTE NITTT massive open online course module number 3, that is on communication skills, modes and knowledge dissemination. As dear friends, you know that AICT has made mandatory for the has mandatory for the technical teachers who have got less than 5 years of teaching experience has to undergo uh, the training program in 8 modules, and out of 8 modules, 3 modules have been developed by NITTT at Chandigarh. And the module number 3 on communication skills, modes, and knowledge dissemination has been developed by Mrs. Amandeep Kaur, and one batch has already completed with the 9,444 participants. And she has also contributed immensely in the other massive open online course on research in technical education. So, with these words, I welcome Mrs. Amandeep Kaur and request her to engage the session on blended learning, advantages over traditional mode of instruction, and various blended learning models. Over to Mrs. Amandeep Kaur, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sunil Dutt, sir, for the kind introduction. So, well, friends, we are going to start with the third input session of this particular program. This session is on blended learning. As sir rightly said, that we have all kind of resources available with us at our institute level, whether it is a traditional chalk and talk method by which we are engaging our learners since ages. Now there is an advancement in technology, and technology is also entering in educational era. We have augmented reality, we have virtual reality, we have mixed reality, and there are different approaches that have been used by the faculty at various institutions to promote engagement among learners as far as various teaching learning practices are concerned. In the very first input session of this particular program, the director of the institute, Dr. S.S. Patnaik sir, informed us all about what are the different platforms that are available with the faculty by which it is possible for us to engage the students with the help of technology. It is not only the platform that we are using for our teaching learning practices, but also a social learning platforms. Social media can also act as a platform to promote engagement among our learners. So, keeping this in view, the second session was organized and delivered by Dr. Sunil Dutt sir, where they sir informed all of us about what are the different learners who are sitting into my class, or maybe in an online learning environment there is a diversity of learners who are available. So to cater the need of these kind of learners, to consider the technological demands as far as the learners' perceptions are concerned, this particular session is being organized. The title of this session is Blended Learning. So from the name itself, it is clear. So when we said blended learning means there is a mix of different teaching strategies that we are going to use for our students. Nowadays, due to COVID-19 situation, we are compelled or forced to use technology at various levels when it comes to the promotion of learning, when it comes to the dissemination of knowledge among our students. But we need to think upon that whether we are prepared for these kind of challenges, whether the future of education is going to be changed in the years to come. Is it the future of the education that we have to use online resources along with our traditional teaching practices also? So for this, there is an approach that is known as a blended learning. So in this particular session, we are going to discuss about what we mean by blended learning. So from the name, it is a perception among many of the learners that blended learning means integration of face-to-face teaching and online learning environment. Blended learning is not simply an integration of the technology and traditional practices that we come to know up to the end of this particular session, and how blended learning is useful for 21st century learner, the learner who are digitally native, who want to interact with technology, who wants to use technology. For those kind of learner, how it is possible for the faculty to engage the learner in the process of teaching learning even when they are sitting into our classroom. So how it is possible for the faculty to use all kind of infrastructure resources, all kind of technology that is available to promote that teaching process. In this particular session, we are also going to inform you about what are the different models, or in simple terms, we can say what are the different approaches the teacher can select depending upon the type of the content he or she is going to deliver, depending upon the maturity level of the student he or she have in his or her class. So depending upon the type of the learner, depending upon infrastructure resources available, depending upon the comfort level of the faculty also, there are different approaches by which the teacher can promote blended learning in a classroom environment. So this we are also going to discuss in this particular session, that what are the different in-class and out-class models of blended learning. As far as flipped classrooms are concerned, flipped classrooms are also the sub part of this blended learning only. So to understand that content also, one need to be aware of what we mean by blended learning, what are the different approaches that we can use for blended learning, and how teacher can integrate technology in traditional classroom practices also to promote better understanding among learners. So there's a famous saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. So by considering the situation of today's educational institution, many of the universities are using ICT technologies for various teaching learning practices. This is not because of pandemic only. Before this particular situation prevailed, many of the universities, many of the institutions start using technology in their teaching learning processes. So some of them are using technology in the form of using different video clips in their lectures. Some of them are introducing LMS structures in their teaching learning practices. So they are integrating technology in all aspects of teaching. So after that, some of the good universities, some of the very good institutions also started blended approach of teaching, where the student can read the content online and teacher is always there to facilitate the process of learning. So before this particular situation also, we are using and integrating technology in various teaching learning processes to deliver the content, to evaluate the student, and even to collect feedback from our student. So this is not new. But the question arises, when we are using these kind of resources at institute level and at university level, specifically the senior members of that institute or university need to think upon that the first thing that we have resources. But the thing is, are we able to successfully implement those resources in our teaching learning practices? And the second question arises, then when we are using teaching learning, when we are using technology, in various teaching learning activities, is it possible for us to blend those resources that are available to us? At institute level, whether my faculty and my student know that what are the different open resources available with us as far as different technology integration is concerned, or always we need to buy resources so that we can integrate technology in our teaching learning practices. So when it comes to blending, the institute need to think upon the kind of resources, do we need to buy those resources, and is it comfortable for my faculty to use those resources. So in education, where we are heading right now, so why there is a demand of use of technology, the very first answer that come to our mind is because the generation is changing nowadays. Our students are very much comfortable when it comes to read something, when it comes to engage themselves in various virtual platforms. They are very good in gamification, they are very good in simulation studies, but when it comes to reading and writing by using pen and paper, those learners are not much interested because the learners are digitally native learners. When I said digitally native learner, means the learner when they born, the technology surrounded those learners, so they are in the habit of using that technology. And maybe some of the students who are sitting into my class are way more experts than the way I am using technology. So in educational institution, there is a demand at the part of the stakeholder also to use and integrate technology. So when we said that there are variety of learners, so if I consider the demands of the visual learner, maybe a visual learner is a person who want to use technology in day to day learning. The visual learner want to see the things that is actually happening in front of him in a class or in an online platform, where the learner can feel those concepts happen in front of his or her eyes. So it's a demand of the student that there must be a technology, there must be integration of different technological platforms as far as different education aspects are concerned. And second important thing that we need to consider, according to the new education policy in 2020, chapter number 19. Chapter number 19 of NEP policy clearly indicate to the various universities and to the various institutions that there must be integration of technology into all levels of education. It means it's a demand of our policy makers also, it's a demand of our stakeholders also, and it's a demand of our students also to integrate technology at different levels of education. And in new education policy, they highlighted the different aspects where we need to integrate technology. The very first thing that we need to consider at institute level is to support teacher preparation and development. So when I said the teacher need to have an advanced information related to a subject that he or she is going to deliver for the student, for this we need to have technology, we need to have access to an information resources. So to support the teacher preparation and development also, we need the integration of technology. It integration of technology help us to improve teaching, it help us to improve various learning practices, and with the use of technology, it is possible for me to conduct many kind of evaluations. So there are many open educational resources available with the faculty, by the use of which it is possible for the teacher not to spend a penny and to evaluate a student in their day-to-day practices. So started from the teaching up to evaluation, we need technology. Enhance educational access to disadvantages groups. Say, for example, there is one student who is sitting in a remote location. It is not possible for that student to access information in a printed form in library because access to the different resources are not available with the student nowadays. The student can simply access different digital platforms available and can have information related to the content that is required at his or her part. So educational access is also there with the help of the integration of technology. It helps us to streamline educational planning, administration, and management. When AICT said that the teacher need to collect 360-degree feedback from the students, it means a tool is being planned, a tool is being designed for the faculty to collect information related to their teaching effectiveness, related to their teacher effectiveness. It means the policy maker designed a specific tool. It is possible for a teacher to integrate technology, to use technology, and to collect feedback from the various students by using the tool that is already being designed by the stakeholder. So it is possible for me to shift that tool to, maybe with the help of a Google form, I can distribute that feedback form to all my students who are at present sitting in a remote location, and students will provide me a feedback related to the concept. So technology not only help the teacher, it not only help the learner, the technology also help us to plan something. It also help the administration and management to plan for their policies. So it is the demand of our education also to use and integrate technology. So before going into the details of what we mean by blended learning, there are certain terminologies that we need to understand. Say the new education policy said that we need to integrate technology, and the learners nowadays are in the demand of integration of technology in various teaching learning practices. But at institute level, we need to consider that, say if an institute is buying resources and integrating bits and pieces the technology. So we have seen that in many of the institution, on the sake of technology, the teachers are using only PowerPoint presentation, and some of the teachers are showing YouTube videos to the student. They are providing audio clips to the student in the name of technology. So when it comes to the use, when it comes to buying a technology, when it comes to integrating a technology, we need to consider our learning space also. So when we said learning space, maybe an XYZ institute created a very attractive learning space. They design a very huge attractive structures or buildings for the students, and automatically assume that students are going to use all kind of resources, or our faculty members are going to use all these kind of resources. Or if the faculty or the students are using these resources, they are making full use of these resources. So many of the universities and many of the institution, basically administration, adopt new innovations nowadays, but they need not to assume that faculty and students want to use it. So the very first thing we need to consider is, when it comes to integration of a technology at institute level, we need to evaluate first. So whether my student, whether my faculty members are using the existing technology, whether they are comfortable when it comes to integrating technology in teaching learning practices. And say for example, at your university or at your institute level, they make it compulsory for the faculty, they make it compulsory for the student to use technology. So they compel the student and the faculty to use technology. So the next question arises that after the evaluation, after maybe even academic evaluation, or maybe head of department taking feedback from the students, that whether they are able to understand the content that is being delivered to them with the use of technology. So all these parameters need to be considered at institute level. We need to evaluate that whether the increased use, I'm saying it again, at institute level, we need to evaluate first that whether the increased use and availability of online resources make an impact on my student achievement. Say I am integrating technology, I am using various open online resources available for my student, but whether the use or integration of technology making an impact on my student achievement. If it is not making any impact on my student achievement, then the question arises how I need to integrate technology. What kind of integration is required for my learners? So that we need to consider upon whenever it comes to use of technology, or when it comes to integrating technology. It is possible that in the time to come, the degree can be earned by a student, and that student may not visit that institute even for a single time. So the institute provide degree to the student who is sitting in a remote location with the help of an online platform only. So there is a flexibility that is going to be introduced into our education system now. Another important thing to consider is when we said online learning platform will be provided to the students to earn degree. It means there is no spoon feeding of information that is going to be happen in future. So at institute level, we need to develop cognitive, we need to develop psychomotor, and we need to develop effective skills among our faculty members so that they are able to disseminate information, they are able to transfer information to the students who are sitting into in a remote location, not in a traditional classroom setup. So we need to consider in the years to come in education scenario, we need to consider the context of teaching at my institute level. So whether I'm going to float only online courses, or in the time to come it is possible for me to impart training by using physical resources also. So what will be the context of our teaching? The second important thing that we need to consider specifically at a part of student is we need to prepare our students for the global working environment. It means my student need to have information that what is happening in a global environment, what are the different advances in his or her specific field, or what are the interdisciplinary kind of approach that we need to develop among our student population. So there is a global workforce that we are going to develop. Another important thing that we need to consider at institute level is there is an exponential growth. So when we said there is an exponential growth, we it can be in terms of the content. Content is available in abundance. It can be in content of information. There are n number of websites available with the student where they can search for the information. So there is a exponential growth in all the things that are related to our education, and we require thinking that is more advanced in nature, specifically at the part of the faculty. So in the years to come, nobody is going to ask to a student that what is your rank and what is your merit, in which division you passed your BTech or your MTech. So the acceptance will be what kind of skill you have. Are you capable of doing something that our industry demanded from you? So that kind of information, that kind of knowledge we need to develop at institute level. So somewhere the institute also need to take certain risk. So when we said certain risk means at my institute level there must be integration of different branches. So my student will study some of the core subjects related to their specific branch, but depending upon the interest of that particular learner, I need to blend information. What kind of information I need to blend? Maybe a student in computer science and engineering department want to perform something in the area of environmental engineering. So my computer science student is able to take project in that particular area by integrating the specialization that he or she is able to achieve in that particular branch. So that kind of changes we are going to face in the years to come. That is why it is being said that we need to prepare ourselves for new education system. Another important thing that we need to consider here is learners are way more different as compared to the learners we are in our educational institution. Nowadays, earlier, it was easy for us as a faculty to teach to our student, because many of the students think that whatever the faculty is saying, whatever the faculty is delivering, that is the final word, and we will prepare our content according to the expectations of the faculty. But nowadays, when the technology is available with every student, maybe you are delivering a content in your class and there are students who question you that the kind of information you are providing to us is very obsolete. So if there is any new information, kindly provide us. This kind of information is already available with us. So these kind of changes we are going to face in our future education. So NEP, new education policy, also consider all these demands of the stakeholders. So, to ponder upon all these issues and providing a detailed information about blended learning, in the next 5 to 7 minutes, we will discuss what are the different pedagogical aspects when it comes to use blended learning at institute level. So, basically, there are two different type of learning environment that the teacher is able to create. till date. The very first is synchronous learning. So when we said synchronous learning, in a simple terms, synchronous learning means the teacher is present at the same time as the learners. So when we talk about student centered education, where the role of the teacher is to facilitate the process of learning, maybe the content is available with the student, the teacher is there always to facilitate the process of learning. So when we said synchronous learning, in most of the situation, face-to-face environment we consider as a synchronous learning. So what is happening in our traditional classroom setup, that is a best example to give as a synchronous learning platform for our student. So is it possible for me to integrate technology in synchronous learning? So we all integrate technology in our traditional classroom setups also. So when it is said that synchronous learning, so we also use online learning environment in our synchronous learning. So teacher can sync technology, and in this particular situation student can also sync technology in a learning environment. Say for example, at present I am delivering talk to all of you. So we are connected with a virtual platform, that is WebEx. The kind of learning that is happening right now is a synchronous learning. Means the speaker, the presenter, as well as the participants are there at the same time when the information is being delivered. So any question that is being asked by the participant, I am here to reply to those questions. So when we said online learning, or when we said integration of technology is possible in synchronous learning, so you and me present at the same time, and you ask question and I will interact with you. Either verbally I will provide you the clarification, or in chat box also I can write clarification related to that particular question. So when there is a use of webinar, there is a use of group chats, there are drop-in sessions that we organized for our student, even with the help of different video conferencing platforms, with the help of live chat, even if we are creating a telegram group for our learners, in that particular case also we are providing synchronous learning environment to our student. But when it comes to a synchronous learning and integration of technology in synchronous learning, there is a requirement of certain skills that need to be developed at the part of the learner and also at the part of the teacher. So for example, after the completion of this particular session, maybe at night, I received an email from a participant where the participant written as, I am not able to log in, or I am not able to attend the session fully because of internet connectivity. So when you said because of internet connectivity you are not able to attend a session, before enrolling this course you need to consider this particular situation. So it and this particular software is collecting and compiling attendance at his own end. I'm not going to manipulate, I'm not going to change an attendance. So that kind of condition need to be considered by the learner. So there is a certain skill set that need to be considered before integrating technology in an synchronous learning environment. The difficulty at the part of a faculty, the major difficulty that the faculty can feel, the faculty can observe is to manage the fast pace of teaching. So when we said to manage the fast pace of teaching means I have to complete my session, the whole content in this particular slot only, because all the sessions have been scheduled and according to the schedule only we have to go for this particular course. So sometimes it is difficult for us to manage a fast pace of teaching as far as the different faculty perceptions have been concerned. So in synchronous learning, either a traditional classroom setup where we are able to create a synchronous learning environment for our student, and with the help of different technological platform also, it is possible for me to integrate technology in synchronous learning. So many of the institutions nowadays are integrating technology in their day-to-day teaching activities. So synchronous learning can be happened in a traditional classroom also, and synchronous learning can also be happened happened in an online learning also, where teacher and students are available at the same time. Now we need to consider that what are the different barriers to synchronous learning. So if there is a synchronous learning available and we are comfortable with this kind of learning, then why there is a need of blended learning? So when it comes to synchronous learning, it limit flexibility. So when it comes to limit flexibility, it is limiting the flexibility of a teacher as well as of the learner. So learner and teacher need to be there at the same time. The schedule is fixed. All will work on the same time only. So flexibility will be affected. So when it comes to a schedule, some of the time we need to change the schedule also due to unavoidable reason or due to any uncertainty arises, but more or less the schedule is fixed. We allow minimum flexibility to the student when it comes to the submission of different activity. Specifically in a classroom environment, when it comes to submission of the different activity, the teachers already decided a deadline for that activity and no provision is being given to the student in terms of flexibility for the submission of that particular assignment. And if the recorded lecture facility is not available with the learner, in that particular case, if by chance the learner missed that lecture, the content is not available with the learner. So these are some of the disadvantages of synchronous learning. Another important kind of learning that is happening and emerging at a very fast rate nowadays is asynchronous learning. So, when it said asynchronous learning, it means the teacher is not present at the same time as the learner. Say, for example, the best example to provide for an asynchronous learning is, say, a teacher posted all the materials online and the learner will work at their own time by considering their own pace. They can communicate with each other, and the teacher also provide opportunity to the learners to communicate with the teacher on any platform. So that kind of learning is considered as asynchronous learning. So there can be discussion forums that have been created by the teacher. Even with the help of email also, it is possible for us to interact with the faculty. There are certain board, say blackboarding software is there. There are other software available with the faculty where the teacher can post the material, where the teacher can create interaction among the learners and with the teacher himself. So that kind of learning is considered as asynchronous learning, where we introduce variety of media. So in synchronous learning, most of the faculty members are using either audio related media or video related media. But when it comes to asynchronous learning, there is a variety of media that need to be introduced for the students. So that kind of learning is considered as asynchronous learning. So what are the different advantages of asynchronous learning? It provides flexibility to the teacher and to the student. Say the content is being developed by me. Now I am posting that content along with the activity specification to my student. So depending upon the availability of the time, my learners are going to read that material and then appearing for an assessment. So when it comes to asynchronous learning, it is possible for the teacher to use various social media available. So many of the faculty members nowadays are posting their assignment or their classwork with the help of WhatsApp group. Even they are creating Google Classrooms. They are creating content online for the students to study. But what is the major disadvantage of asynchronous learning? So when it comes to teaching online to our student, it's a very new concept for the faculty member. Why I'm saying it's a very new concept? MOOCs came into picture when disruptive technology is being introduced in an educational setup. So since 2010, we are in the process of using technology. We are in the process of using various online learning platform for our student. But in country like us, we are very new to this system. So there are certain skills that need to be developed among faculty. There are certain skills that need to be developed among our student population also when it comes to integration of technology or when it comes to the use of online learning platform to our student. Uh, Asynchronous learning providing flexibility to the teacher, and it also providing flexibility to the learner, because they both can work at their own pace, they both can work according to the time available to them. But for this kind of learning, to create these kind of platforms, we require maximum effort. So when we said the content is available online, so first thing that I need to consider is, am I going to design and develop content for my student? I do not want to name here the name of the university, but many of the faculty members are sharing with us that nowadays in COVID-19 situation, when it is compelled and forced to the faculty to teach students online because no other option is available, many of the universities issue guidelines to the student that they will not record the lectures delivered by the faculty. So condition is there on the student that they are not going to record any information delivered by the faculty. Some of the institutions simply providing YouTube links to the student to listen to the information developed by some XYZ expert outside their information, and those faculty members are considering that they are able to complete their syllabus online without putting much effort at their own end. There are many of the faculty members who are using SWAYAM courses, who are using NAPTEL courses. Even some of the faculty members are providing references to the students of TEDx platforms or TEDx talks to cover the content without considering the level of the student. So that kind of learning is not asynchronous learning. So when we said asynchronous learning, specifically in our country, there are different barriers that we are facing as a faculty and as a student. The capacity building programs are not there for the faculty. Every single day, a new technology is being introduced by the management. Every single day, a new technology is being introduced by a teacher for the student without providing them training. So it is not beneficial for the faculty as well as for the student if they are not able to use that technology efficiently. Infrastructure facilities are not available specifically with the students in our country. There are many of the students with whom the facilities of internet is not available. The facility even of the smartphone and laptops is not available. So it is very difficult for those students to fulfill their needs, fulfill the expectations of the faculty. There are stakeholders who demand that my student need to devote more time when it comes to teaching learning. So when it comes to providing time, specifically an online learning environment, it is very difficult for the learner to stay for a longer time as far as screen timing is being concerned. So maybe for a learner, 45 minutes lecture is more than enough when it comes to spend time on an online learning platform, because there are many issues related to this particular concept. So but at the part of the parents, at the part of the management, there is a demand that we need to devote more time without considering that whether we are teaching online or offline. The flexibility is there with the faculty, but faculty need to prepare first before delivering any of the content on an online platform. The work culture for an online learning is way more different as compared to the traditional setup. There is a generation gap. There are many of the senior faculty members who are not comfortable with the use of technology. So there are certain barriers that are related to asynchronous learning also. Asynchronous learning also, according to me, the most difficult barrier that we need to overcome is a human interaction. We as Indian population, we as faculty and student want some sort of a personalized instruction. So we need human interaction, and at certain platform, it is impossible for the faculty to consult to our student, to guide our student, because we are not trained for the use of online learning platform. So by considering the certain disadvantages and advantages of synchronous and asynchronous learning, a concept that is not new but that is the demand of today environment. So we need to have blended learning. So there are many definitions you are able to get from the literature of blended learning. To understand blended learning is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning. So when we are able to blend our synchronous as well as asynchronous environment, there is a solution to all the barriers that we faced in these two learning environment. With the help of blended learning, it is possible for me to create personalized instructions for my student. It is possible for me to create and develop experiences for my student. So that is why it is possible for me to overcome all those barriers of synchronous as well as asynchronous learning. So now the question arises how we are going to integrate these. So face to face learning, when integrating with an online learning environment, many of the faculty members consider it as blended learning, but blended learning is a wider approach. It is not only the blending of face to face and online learning, there are certain aspects that we need to consider when it comes to integration of technology with our class to class structures. So the question arises how to club synchronous and asynchronous learning. So when it comes to clubbing synchronous and asynchronous learning, the first thing that we need to consider is a content. So when it comes to considering a content, the learning material must be prepared and it must be tailor-made material. So it require a maximum effort and it also require a time when it comes to developing content specifically for an online learning platform. So in the introductory session, we informed you that at NITR Chandigarh, we are able to develop and design many MOOC courses for a SWAYAM. As a coordinator for module number 3 for AICT NINET policy, I myself designed content for that particular module. So when it comes to designing and developing a content for an online learning platform, it is a very time consuming process. So by considering the needs of your learner, I am not going to copy pasted information from textbook or from different online resources. I need to create my own content. So the first thing when it comes to creating a blended learning environment for my student, the learning material need to be prepared by the faculty. If the teacher is not preparing a learning content, you are collecting a content from different educational resources available. You need to customize that content first before providing that content to the student. So that is the major requirement when it comes to a blended learning. Another important thing to consider is the schedule of your program, the schedule of your course, the schedule of your class. That is an important aspect that need to be considered. So when it comes to preparing an activity specification for your student, you need to consider the kind of resources, the kind of accessibility the student have at their own end. Accordingly, the teacher need to design schedule for that particular course or for that particular class. Another important thing to consider is because the students are learning online, there must be an assessment that need to be designed by the faculty. Maybe by using any platform for quiz, maybe by using multiple choice question, but the teacher need to assess the level of understanding of the student. So assessment must be there when it comes to use a blended learning approach. So teacher need to use continuously the formative assessment parameters. So there are many open educational softwares, there are many open educational resources available with the faculty. The teacher can use those kind of resources to assess to the student. To name a few, there is Kahoot, there is Answer Garden, another important platform that the teacher can use to create quizzes, even the use of a Google Forms. There are many platforms available with the faculty by which the teacher can use and assess the students as far as the content information is concerned. Another important thing to consider when it comes to blended learning is to create interaction. So once you are able to assess the performance of your student and you come to know that many of the students are producing same kind of errors again and again, it means there is a need of interaction. So teacher need to plan a class for a student where the teacher will directly interact with the student. So when I said directly means on an online platform also it is possible for me to interact with my student. So when I was floating module number 3, many of the learners are facing problem in some of the aspects. So after every 2 weeks, what we do at NITR Chandigarh, we plan a training for our learners where the learner can simply interact with the course coordinator and clarify their doubts. So in blended learning, maybe the content is being provided to the student with the help of an online learning platform. But yes, to provide a personalized experience, the teacher need to plan some of the classes where the learners can interact with the students. So blended learning means a clubbing of synchronous and asynchronous learning environment. Why we are clubbing these two? Because with the use of synchronous learning it is possible for me to create a concept of socializing. So it is possible for my students to socializing with each other. Maybe by creating a WhatsApp group it is possible for my students to interact with each other related to a concept matter. There may be formal discussions, there may be informal discussions in that particular group, but at least my learners are socializing with each other. When the students are in synchronous learning environment, it is possible for the teacher to provide a feedback instantly. Instantly means when the teacher and students are available at the same time, the teacher can point out the student, the teacher can provide remedial measures to the student. But in an online learning environment, when we are using asynchronous mode, it is not possible for me. So I need to identify different ways by which it is possible for me to provide effective feedback to my student. So in asynchronous learning environment, human interaction is missing, resources are available, but it is not possible for me to provide feedback to my students. So there is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous environment that can be created. If at all, the teacher is using only an asynchronous environment and it is not possible for the teacher to provide feedback to each and every candidate, the teacher can simply introduce a concept of peer feedback. The teacher can simply design some of the activities where discussion is possible among the learners. So it is possible for the teacher to identify different ways and it is possible for the teacher to blend synchronous and asynchronous learning environment. So this is why we club synchronous and asynchronous learning and how to achieve this. Now the question arises, say I said I'm going to blend synchronous and asynchronous learning, but how this is going to be happened? The very first thing that I need to consider is how I am going to teach. Say in this COVID-19 situation, the only option that is available with me when it comes to teach to my student is an online learning platforms. So in an online learning platforms, there are diversity of learners who are available. There are different approaches, there are different platforms that are available with me. So, when it comes to teaching traditionally to my student, it is possible for me to cater the need of each and every student. But when it comes to teach my students on an online learning platform, both teacher and student require some skills to develop, specifically for the learners who are structured learner. Structured learner means the learner who want information in a specific manner, the learner who want all kind of information from the faculty itself. So how it is possible for me to make comfortable to those learners? For that, when it comes to teaching online and blending the synchronous and asynchronous learning, first thing I need to consider is when I'm teaching online to my student and I want to use a blended kind of a learning approach, I need to provide a lesson plan to my student. So for my today class, what I'm going to teach, what are the prerequisites of that particular session? What are the different specific learning outcome that we are trying to achieve from today class? So either you call it lesson plan, either you call it activity specification, or either you call it an instruction instructional plan we need to provide to our student when it comes to teaching or blending information on an online learning platform. The second most important parameter that we need to consider while using an approach of blended learning is the communication skills. So there are four major communication skills we all know, that is reading, listening, writing and speaking. So when it comes to reading, if it is a traditional setup, it is not difficult for the student to read something because textbooks are available, class notes are available with the student. But when it comes to reading online, the content that the teacher is going to develop, that content must have connection. Say I am reading a content that is being given by my faculty, I must feel connection with that particular content. That is why it is being said that whenever it is a content that we are going to give online to our student, that must be in the form of self learning module. Self learning module means the learning outcome need to be written by the teacher first, then the content, then self practice tasks need to be embedded, and then feedback to those self practice tasks also need to be there. So that kind of reading, the kind of a content in which the student felt a connection. So there is a personalized instruction that is being developed by the teacher as far as reading is concerned. The second major skill is listening. So, on an online learning platform, it is very much difficult for us to listen for a long. So, the attentiveness period, according to the researches, it is approximately 10 to 15 minutes. So, how it is possible for me to engage my students in the process of listening? On the demand of the learner, I will repeat. I will repeat the content again and again for my learners so that it is easy for the students to listen to that particular content. So when the student is saying that I am not able to understand that what you are delivering right now, I need to respect to that learner. Some of the faculty member taken it personally that I am delivering the content from the last 30 minutes and now the learner is saying that I am not able to listen, I am not able to understand. Every learner have a different concentration span. If the learner is saying that I am not able to understand that what you are delivering, it means we need to repeat the content again. If not possible, the key points need to be considered again by the teacher. When it comes to blending online and traditional classroom setup, we need to consider writing a most. When it comes to writing, specifically you need to construct your response as a teacher. So when I'm starting this particular session, a faculty member said, you are very beautiful ma'am, never seen a beauty with brain like you before. So that kind of comment can also be given by your student. So as a faculty, I need to consider myself in a situation where I need to think upon that whether I need to reply to this kind of messages or not. So simply the teacher need to avoid these kind of situations, and at the same time when I'm writing something to my participants, when I'm writing something to my learner, that writing must be respectful. The selection of the words need to be carefully selected by a teacher. The tone of your writing also need to be considered by the faculty. So writing is a way by which we are providing feedback to our students also. So writing need to be considered very specifically when it comes to interacting with your learner or with your faculty on an online platform. Nowadays, many of the students are in the habit of using infographics or emojis in their writing. So that also need to be considered by the faculty. With the help of emoji, the students are expressing their emotions. It is not possible for me to collect their non-verbal clues. As far as feedback to different aspects is concerned, the students are simply using emojis nowadays. So that is also acceptable on an online learning platform because it is possible for me to collect expressions at the part of the student. learning spaces. So I'm saying that we need to blend synchronous with asynchronous learning, but at institute level, do we have such kind of learning spaces where my student can rotate or move from one space to another to have different personalized experiences? So when it comes to interaction, means speaking, the content, the tone, the variety of your tone, the integration of different technological platforms, all these parameters need to be considered by a teacher. As far as speaking is concerned, as far as learning spaces are concerned, we already consider that there can be face to face or there can be integration of online learning platform. When there is a online learning platform, maybe many of my learners felt isolated in that particular environment. So we need to introduce technology by which it is possible for me to interact with my student. So when it comes to creating interaction for my student, as far as technology is being concerned, I need to consider that technology might be complex. Maybe my institute management is buying world class technology as far as teaching learning practices are concerned, but that technology may be complex for my students to use. For this, as a faculty, I need to be expert enough that if in at any case my student is facing difficulty while using that technology, I will provide solution to my student. So I'm not only passing a content information, I'm not only developing their lower order and higher order capability. At the same time, I am providing expertise to my student that how to use a specific technology in my class. So these are all the aspects that we need to consider when it comes to blend this kind of an information or blending synchronous as well as asynchronous learning environments. Next is how to blend effectively. So there are three different aspects that we need to consider. The very first thing is readiness, second is intensity of adoption, and third important factor is impact of that blending. So when it comes to readiness, the first thing that, as we earlier discussed, the first thing that we need to consider is readiness of our faculty as far as context of that teaching is concerned. So when we said context of an teaching, if it is a traditional setup where you are integrating technology, your stakeholders are very much comfortable because the resources have been provided by the institute. But when it comes to an online context of teaching, we need to consider whether maybe a smartphone, maybe a laptop facility, maybe an internet connectivity is available with my student, and if the availability of those resources are there, is it possible for the student to assess the resources 24 into 7? So when I'm designing schedule for my class student, I need to consider the context of my teaching, whether it is a traditional setup where I'm going to integrate technology or I'm teaching my student with the help of an online learning platform only. Another important thing to consider under readiness is finance. So, what kind of financial aid is required at institute level to develop different infrastructure resources? Readiness in terms of commitment at the part of the teacher and at the part of the student. So, when we said teacher commitment means the teacher need to be committed enough to prepare a content, the teacher need to committed enough to implement the course designed by him or her. The teacher must be committed to plan evaluation and assessment at the part of the student. By evaluation only it is possible for us to evaluate my learner need to be disciplined enough. When it comes discipline on an online learning platform, all kind of conditions need to be informed to the learners first. So the kind of preparation that is being required, the interest that is being required at the part of the learner, the regularity and commitment for the completion of different activities also need to be there. So learner commitment also need to be there when it comes to blending synchronous as well as asynchronous environment. Another important thing to consider is the role of institute. So when it comes to providing all kind of infrastructure facility, all kind of solutions, a technical assistance provided to the faculty, all kind of technical resources, it is a responsibility of the institute to provide such kind of resources to the student as well as to the faculty. Another important thing to consider when it comes to blending synchronous asynchronous is content and culture. So, say the content is available in abundance. So, why at institute level it is compulsory for the faculty to record videos? What we need to do is we need to map the content that is already available. So, according to the syllabus of your subject, you need to identify what are the different resources available where this content information is already developed very carefully. So the teacher need to map the content first that is available online. So after scrutinizing the information given in that particular content, now teacher need to create interaction. Maybe the teacher with the help of various technological tool create a tailored made content for the student. Say for example, there is a YouTube video that is being selected by a teacher or a NAPTEL recorded lecture that is being selected by a teacher. So with the help of say maybe uh, AD puzzle tool, it is possible for me to integrate assessment in that particular video itself. I can use multiple choice question, I can use open-ended responses, I can collect true and false statement responses for my student. What I am doing, I'm selecting a very good video available on YouTube, and with the help of Edpuzzle tool, I am interacting with my student by introducing assessment in that particular video. So what is the effect of that particular content? My student will listen to that information first, and then they are able to respond to those questions that have been asked by the teacher. So with the help of already available content, I am selecting a content, I am tailoring that content, I am use that content, I am evaluating my students with the help of that particular content. And after the completion of the video, when the score is available with me related to the assessment, I need to consider that whether we need to provide information to my students, whether I need to supplement more information, or whether I need to develop this content in the most simplest form so that it is possible for my student to respond. So when it comes to a content, the content must always be designed according to the type of learner you have at your institute level. Next is cultural readiness is also considered as important. So what are the different applications? So I am using technology in my classroom. I am promoting technology in different educational platforms. So there must be a cultural acceptance of that technology also. We need to create awareness among our students that how they are able to use this technology more effectively rather than doing informal discussions by the use of WhatsApp, by the use of Facebook, or on the discussion forum they are not participating. So that kind of cultural acceptance also need to be there when it comes to use a blended learning approach. Next is intensity of adoption. There is a very, I think all of the faculty members might be aware what we mean by CDIO. The full form of CDIO is conceive, design, implement, and operate. So when it comes to intensity of adoption, the first thing we need to consider at institute level is we need blended packages. Blended packages means the packages that we can fully adopt. So maybe in an initial phase when my learners are not much matured, it is not possible for me to integrate technology fully. So partially I will introduce technology in my teaching learning practices, and once the culture develop at institute level, then it is possible for me to integrate technology in a full form. So at institute level, before planning for any kind of technology, before buying any blended package, we need to evaluate that what suits us at institute level, what is the demand of our student, and For this, specifically, we need hybrid entities. So when I said hybrid entities means we need an human interaction because our learners are not matured enough, and for using technology we need non-human interactions also. So for example, at your institution level, your management said that you need to use augmented reality or virtual reality specifically for engineering students. So till date, there is not much literature developed as far as various engineering branches are concerned. We are using augmented reality and virtual kind of experiences for our school level, for various marketing purposes, for commercial purposes. But when it comes to using these kind of technologies, these kind of blended packages, we need technology to be tailored made first according to the demands of our learners. So that kind of thing, human as well as non-human interaction, need to be the part of our Indian education system and according to the curriculum we have. So first we need to conceive, then we need to design, then we need to implement, and then we are in the position to operate fully in a blended approach. So when we are clubbing synchronous as well as asynchronous learning, it is not a blindfolded approach. We need to evaluate. So evaluation is required. So as a faculty, I need to evaluate, is it possible for me to achieve different learning outcomes with the help of the various learning approaches that I'm using for my student? Say you are using a YouTube video in your class. You are designing an online quiz for your student, or you are using any online learning platform for your students. There are many evaluation tools available with the faculty by which it is possible for me to know that how many times my student watched this particular video, how much time they spend on what kind of information. So nowadays it is possible for us with the use of technology to know that whether my learners are able to collect information appropriately or not. So when it comes to blending synchronous and asynchronous learning, synchronous and asynchronous learning means blended learning, but it is much wider than that. It is not only the integration of your traditional classroom setup with an online learning. We need a holistic approach when it comes to blending. So content, schedule, assessment, and interaction need to be planned first. So we what we need to consider is the capacity building in terms of teaching online, communication skill. We need to create learning spaces. We need to create interaction among the student, and we are able to blend effectively if we are ready in terms of the context. We are ready in terms of finance available, commitment of teacher and learner. The role of institute is also there, and readiness as far as content and culture is concerned. We will conceive, design, implement, and then operate. So, say XYZ technology is being used at my institute level. So, I'm not comfortable with that particular technology. So, flexibility is need to be given to the faculty to shift to another technology. Say, for example, many of the institutions are using Moodles nowadays as far as LMS is concerned. So, if I am not comfortable with the Moodle or my students are not comfortable while using that platform, I certainly need to shift to some another technology. So maybe I'm using Canvas LMS that is free for the faculty. It is easy for use. It is possible for the students to participate in various discussions. So rather, I'm using Canvas because that is comfort as a faculty, and my class students are very happy with that kind of an LMS. So intensity of we need to evaluate that what kind of technology suits us and what kind of practices we need to implement in our traditional practices. So with the help of evaluation, it is possible for us to evaluate the intensity of that technology as well as your teaching approaches that you are using. So we talked about how to club, how we can effectively implement blended learning approach, and what kind of preparation that is required at the part of an institute level. But there is related to a blending learning. So many of the faculty members, many of the educational institutions consider that blending learning is a mixed mode of teaching in my day-to-day teaching. It is a hybrid learning, means I consider that all my students are at excellence level and it is possible for me to introduce new technology every single day to my student. And we consider that blended learning is a technology mediated kind of an instruction. But that is not true. When it comes to blending learning, there are many subcomponents that need to work together. So when we said many subcomponents, say there is one component is teacher, another component is learner. Teacher is working in his or her own space, and learner is also working in his or her own space. But in an educational setup, these subcomponents are interacting with each other. So teacher is interacting with learner and learner is interacting with the teacher. So there is a flow of expectations from student to teacher and from teacher to student. Another subcomponent is, say, the word of work. Word of work have a certain set of requirement. So we are catering the needs of many industry by providing them manpowers. So the expectations of industry is also flowing into our system. So when it comes to a blending learning is not only a platform where we are able to integrate technology or we are able to promote mixed mode of teaching. Blended learning is much more than that. So according to the literature, when it comes to blended learning, there are 6 different subcomponents that are interacting with each other. So from where this particular aspect of blending learning start gaining its importance, specifically when MOOCs comes in existence. And many of the university professors and faculty members start teaching with the use of flipped classrooms in bits and pieces, from where the concept of blended learning grow extensively. Before that also, in pedagogical literature, blended learning is a very old phenomena, is a very old process the teachers are using. But once the MOOC came into picture, the blended learning is extensively growing in our country. So when it comes to a blending learning, it is not a mixed mode of teaching, it is not hybrid learning, it is not only technological mediated and enhanced learning. Blended learning is basically a selection of a delivery method. So first thing I need to consider is, when I'm using a blending learning, first I need to consider my instructional approach, my delivery method, that must be in line with the learning needs. So whenever I'm selecting any instructional strategy, that instructional strategy must be selected according to the level of students I have in my class. And second major factor to consider in blending learning is what kind of resources we have at our institute level. So blended learning is not simply mixing technology with your traditional teaching. Blended learning is selection of an instructional method in line with the needs of your learner and the kind of resources available at your institute level. So it is possible for us to implement blended learning at institute level even if we do not have much resources available. So nowadays, Government of India initiated many projects, many sites where open educational resources are available with the student as well as with the faculty. So first we need to consider what are the different OER, open educational resources available to all of us, and how we can integrate those open educational resources and teaching learning practices. So by considering this complex adaptive blending learning model, we need to consider that there are 6 subcomponents that are interacting with each other in an educational institution as far as blending learning approaches are concerned. Because all we know that learning is a dynamic process. So whosoever is learning, that learning is dynamic in nature, only then it is possible for the learner to gain information from different resources. So, if learning is a dynamic process, it means these six subcomponents, that is the learner, teacher, content, technology, learning support, and institution. So, all these subsystems are working within themselves, and at the same time, these subcomponents are also dependent upon each other. Say, if the learners are not available at institute level, it means we no, need nothing at institute. We do not need teacher, we do not need content, we are not in the need of technology, so nothing is required. It means learner is an important component. If learner is there, we need teachers. If learner is there, the teacher need to develop content. I want to blend synchronous and asynchronous. That is why there is a requirement of technology. Whether there is a culture of a use of technology that we need to develop at our institute level. So if the institute is making certain set of policy, only then it is possible for us to interact, only then it is possible for me to deliver content to my student. So all these subcomponents are interrelated with each other. So when we said learners, specifically in a blended learning approach, I'm not going into the details of what are the different types of learner available at our institute level. That content is already delivered by Dr. Sunil Dutt sir. So when it comes to learners, specifically in a blended learning environment, learners are acquiring new identities. So when I said learners are acquiring new identities, say for example, consider yourself as a learner. In this COVID-19 situation, all of us are capable of using technology. If not up to the level of excellence, it is possible for me to manage my class online. It means a new dimension is being introduced to me, that is technology. So I am acquiring a new kind of skill in this particular situation. Likewise, when we are clubbing synchronous as well as asynchronous learning for our student, it is possible for the learner to develop new skills. So they are actively participating in the different activities that have been designed by the teacher. So in a complex adaptive learning model, it is being said that if you are using a blended kind of learning approach, you need to consider that what kind of skills you are going to develop with the use of this particular approach. Second is the role of teacher. So blended learning is, in a blended learning, the approach that we are used to teach in our traditional setup is very different. So in blended setup, we consider teacher as a moderator. So when we said you need to identify a content available online and then you are going to map that content with your subject. So what I am doing, I am acting as a moderator. Content is developed by some other faculty member. I am providing that information to my students. So I am acting as an e-moderator in that blended environment. When I am interacting with my student with the use of online learning platform, in that particular case, I am a facilitator. So I am facilitating the process of learning. Say my student is not able to use technology efficiently. In that particular case, I will guide my student that how they are able to use this particular platform. Say for example, while delivering this talk, if I face problem in terms of the use of this particular platform, I will contact our technical assistant, Miss Manisha, and Manisha will direct me that how it is possible for me to use this platform effectively. So Manisha will act as a guide for me in that particular situation. So students are developing some sort of skill. As a teacher, when I'm using a blending approach, I need to consider that what kind of skill I'm going to develop along with the content information. As a teacher, my role is not only to provide information about the content in a blended learning environment. I may act as a e-moderator, I may act as a facilitator, I may act as an advisor, I may act as a guide. So when it comes to a blended learning approach, the one thing as a faculty we need to consider in today's scenario that we do not know all. There is abundance of information that is available with the student, and students are inquiring that information at their own end too. It means if a learner is providing me a new information, if the learner is supplementing that content, as a teacher I need to accept that information. I need to accept the fact that yes, my learners already know the content. Third important component under blended learning approach is the content. So when it comes to content in a blended environment, the content is not about related to your subject. So when it comes to developing a content for your student, the teacher need to consider that it must be interacting. So whenever I am reading something, so say for example, I need to inform you all about what we mean by blended learning. So, a approach that can also be used by me as I simply copy pasted the definition from an internet resource, pasted that information on my PowerPoint presentation, and then provide you an information. So that can be one approach, but when a lengthy statement, a lengthy definition is being displayed on a PowerPoint presentation, very few of you are going to read that definition. So when it comes to developing content on an online platform, we are not spoon feeding that information. We need to develop a skill as a faculty that my learner start thinking about this particular concept. So I am not spoon feeding that information. I am creating a connected kind of an information, a content that is more interacting, a content that is self-engaging. So it is considered the perspective of the learners also. So it includes technology also. So when it comes to developing a content for a blended approach, you need to consider how you are going to blend. The first question is that how you are going to blend before developing a content. Either you are blending offline or online. So if the content need to be given in a classroom situation, the teacher can simply provide reference of a good book that student can study by their own, and there can be discussion organized for those students. In an online learning platform, the content need to be developed in a most simplest form, and the content we are not going to copy a content from an XYZ resources. Another important thing to consider when it comes to developing a content, that how you are going to blend. So is it a self-paced course or is it a live course? So like now we are interacting live with each other, so that kind of a content means the information is there, verbal explanation is there, the recorded lecture will be provided to you all. But if it is a self-paced course, means on Friday I need to provide all kind of a content along with an activity, and in today class that activity will be discussed only. I am not going to discuss the content, I am going to provide input related to that activity only. So you need to consider whether your content is uh, self-paced or whether live course is there. So another important thing blended, that whether you are going to use a content that is available with you, means in a hard form, or you are going to provide online references to the student, and what kind of approach you are going to use. So either it's a cooperative kind of teaching strategies or collaborative kind of teaching strategies that we are going to use for a content. So another important thing to consider when it comes to blended learning is the kind of technology that we are using. So as a faculty, we need to consider that when it comes to a use of technology, the technology is emerging at a very fast rate and it is dynamic by nature. So when we said it is a dynamic by nature, so there are many technological platforms available with me for use to my students. In that particular case, I need to consider what kind of technology at institute level we need to select for our student. So, and are we capable enough to use and adopt that technology by using different resources? So when it comes to a selection of technology, by considering the level of the student, by considering the comfort level of the faculty, the institution need to go and select a kind of technology. Another two important aspects to consider when it comes to using a blended kind of approach is the learning support. So what kind of support you are going to provide to your student? So when we said what kind of support that you are going to provide to your student is, say the resources are not available with the student, so whether you are going to provide any kind of financial aid to your students as far as the infrastructure resources are concerned. So is there flex experience available with your faculty to use that kind of technology? So, say learning support means your learners are not comfortable to interacting with you online. So, what kind of practice is adopted at institute level to promote the level of soft skills also on an online learning environment? So, fluency in the use of technology not only at the part of student but also at the part of the faculty. So, learning support system need to be created. Maybe a technical assistant need to be appointed at institute level. That technical assistant helps student as well as to the faculty to use and integrate technology. And the last important component that we need to consider is the kind of or the role of the institute. So what is the role of your institute? If the university said to the student that the facility is not available with you to record the lecture of the faculty, that is not ethical. If the teacher is simply copy pasting the YouTube link and provided it to the student for the sake of completion of a curriculum or a syllabus, this is again not an ethical practice that is to be used. When we said blended means the policy need to be designed at institute level. Even if the teacher is creating PowerPoint presentation and uploading those PowerPoint presentation on your learning management system, what kind of copyright issues you are going to consider. So we are not blindly uploading the content on different online platforms because there are many ethical issues related with that. So that kind of evaluation need to be carried out at institute level, and policy need to be designed at institute level. Online teaching is not easy. We cannot use and distribute the content of other authors on our different platforms. We need to design a policy for that, and support service need to be provided to given at an institute level. So all these parameters we need to consider. So there are 6 different subcomponents that work together in a blended learning approach. That is a learner, a teacher, a content, technology, a learning support, and a role of institute. So friends, in this particular session, we have discussed what we mean by synchronous and asynchronous learning. From this particular concept only, to overcome the disadvantages of these two separate learning techniques, we come to the conclusion that blended learning is a very good approach specifically for immature learner, the learner who demanded personalized instruction and human interaction. So, blended learning is not restricted only to the integration of traditional and online practices. There is a preparation that is required at the part of the student, at the part of the teacher, as well as the institute also plays an important role when it comes to blend these two different learning aspects. So, readiness, intensity, and impact need to be evaluated at institute level, and a best framework that I'm able to identify and extract from the literature is complex adapt blended learning approach. This particular framework help us to interact with each other at the same to use in designing blended learning. So for blended learning, what we need a trained faculty, a quality student, we need a learning spaces, we need flexibility, and we need technology. So Tuesday, second session, there is a session planned for cooperative and collaborative learning strategy. In that particular session, we will go by what kind of models we are able to use for a different blended learning approaches. So there can be blended learning happened in class environment, or there can be blended learning that is happening in an out of the class environment. So what are the different models that we are able to use and implement at our institute level? So that we are going to discuss along with a very simple lesson plan that the faculty need to design before initiating any blended learning approach at institute level. So the various kind of blended learning models we are going to discuss in our Tuesday second session. So So it is already, the time is, it's already 4:10 with me. So is there any question related to this particular concept? So the one faculty asked what we mean by hybrid teaching. Sir, the right terminology in terms of pedagogical literature, it is considered as hybrid learning. Teaching has different dimension, but the right terminology used is hybrid learning. So when it comes to hybrid learning is basically a combination of a traditional classroom environment, but in a hybrid learning, my objective as a teacher is to provide experiential kind of learning to my student. So when it comes to a hybrid learning approach, there are different models of blended learning that we implemented in our classroom situation. So we consider that learning space is a classroom. So we consider that learning space as a hybrid platform where it is possible for the teacher to interact with the student either offline or online by providing different platforms. So the basic objective of hybrid learning is to create an experiential kind of learning for our student. There are many strategies that we are able to use for our hybrid learning framework. So we are going to discuss those strategies also. So it is basically according to the demand, according to the needs of a specific learner, I'm going to plan a learning experiences for my learners. So that we meant in simple terms, that is hybrid learning. Another question that is being asked, what are the best method to assess student based on our teaching online? So, sir, when you said what are the best method to assess our student, the teacher can also create a discussion forum where the teacher can promote a component of peer evaluation. If the learner is more in number, say if in my online course there are 9,000 plus learners available, so it is not possible for me to evaluate each and every candidate. So simply what will I do? I will create a discussion forum for my student where a peer feedback or peer evaluation component is being created. If your class strength is less, say there are 60 or 80 students in your class, you can either create multiple choice questions, you can either use any quiz platform available with you, you can use any gamification software for the students. Even as we earlier said, say you are displaying a video, YouTube video, you are using a YouTube video for your class student. In that YouTube video also, it is possible for you to integrate assessment by the use of technology. So maybe on Friday, there was session on the technological aspects of education. So there are many of the softwares available that help us to integrate the factor of assessment in our teaching only. So there are many methods, multiple choice question, open questions, Google Forms can be created. Even on Google platforms, on Google Classroom, a rubric is being created where the teacher student can easily evaluate. Self evaluation can also be introduced. So there are many ways to evaluate students online, but yes, we need capacity building programs for the faculty to train in all those aspects. How to know about the physical presence of the student during online teaching? So at present what I am doing is an synchronous learning. So I am not assessing, I am not evaluating the presence of my students in a class. Maybe there are many of the participants who simply log into the system and then left the class. So when it comes to evaluating the physical presence of your student, the class must be equipped with activities, and if possible those activities need to be graded. So if there are activities, the activities are interacting enough. If there is a compulsion by the faculty in terms of evaluation, many of the students will be there with the platform, and with the help of chat also, even by creating a live chat experiences, the teacher can simply evaluate the presence of the faculty. So it is possible for the teacher by introducing variety of learning activities, by designing variety of activities for the student to know the physical presence of a teacher. So for example, in this particular class, say at 3 o'clock, I have given a Google form link to all of you, and you have to fill responses on that Google form. And at 3:45, I close that responses. So after getting that responses, I come to know that how many participants are there in the platform who are able to provide me all kind of responses. After that, many of the participants will email me that my internet was not working, my internet was slow, I'm not able to participate in that quiz or in that particular assignment. But on an online learning environment, the disciplinary actions need to be clear among all the participants that if the quiz is available to you, you have to submit the response. Otherwise, we consider you absent from our software. What are the free Blackboard software available and how to use them? So, as far as different digital Blackboard platforms are available, Blackboard Ink is available for the faculty to use, but you have to buy that software. For a demo version, the faculty can interact with that particular software maybe for 10 to 15 days. So that can be used. How to check malpractices during online test? So, sir, it is very, very difficult for us to evaluate that whether the students are using different means to complete a test online. The precaution that the teacher can use at his or her own end is to when he or she designing an online test, do not use verbatim language. Do not pick statements directly from different internet resources. So you need to create items related to the verbal explanation of your classes only. If you are collecting information from the different resources and giving those items to the student, it is possible for the student to copy the content and provide you the information. So in India, till date, we do not have much experiences as far as online tests have been concerned. So the teacher need to design online test very carefully so that it is not possible for the student to copy the information. Another important thing, by evaluating the difficulty level of your question or item, means after conducting item analysis of your test paper, the teacher need to fix the time slot of that paper. Say there are 25 multiple choice questions given to the student. The questions are of very simple in nature, so the time given to the student is only 25 minutes. So many of the students who are copying the information from different resources, it is not possible for those students to complete test on time. So either design items very carefully, or after conducting an item analysis, you will go by providing time to the different students. So that can be approach that we are able to use.
Ma'am, there is a hand raise. Can we take up that?
And that candidate is saying, unmute me, I have hand raised.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Yes, sir.
Udevi.
Uddavi Singh.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me unmute you, sir. Hello. Hello, Udevi, sir.
Me, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please ask your question, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Sir, don't mute yourself. I am unmuting you. Please do not touch your mic symbol. Hello.
Okay, ma'am. Can
Okay.
you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're audible to us.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for a very valuable session. It was concise as well as elaborate. Ma'am, you have only shared two references. So, for in-depth learning or blended learning, can we have some more references from
Definitely,
your side?
sir. Tuesday after second session, I will provide you a full list of references that you are able to assess. Those references, some of the references available online for free, and there are very good books as far as blended learning is concerned. So we will provide you references after the class of cooperative and collaborative learning. Why I have used these two references in my PowerPoint presentation only? Because these kind of images or content I have directly taken from that particular resource. So to
Okay.
avoid
Ma'am,
copyright issue, I have considered that. Yes, sir.
written- yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him to drink. How is it connected to the blended learning here, or is it connected to the audience?
It is not related to the audience, sir. We all are very experienced faculty members who are interacting with each other with the help of this particular platform. The purpose of showing that PowerPoint presentation is at the part of institute, we are able to
Yeah.
buy n number of resources as far as technology is concerned. You also experienced after visiting many of the institutions that many of the good private university creating a beautiful structure, beautiful spaces for the students to interact, to discuss, to have innovative ideas, to do creative kind of a things. But by creating a learning space, by spending so much of money on those creating spaces, it is not possible for the student to do something innovative or produce something creative. So it is
Got
possible
it.
for the institution to buy those kind of resources, but to promote that kind of learning, it is an effort required at the part of the faculty, along with the kind of students who have enrolled at our institute level. So cultural
Absolutely.
aspects and context also need to be considered. So that is why that image is there.
Last question, ma'am. You have mentioned about complex, adaptive, blended learning, the six subparts, the learner, teacher,
Yes, sir.
etc. Ma'am, these all six sub.
So you're not audible to me now.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes.
Can
Can you repeat your
can you hear
question
me?
again, sir?
Ma'am, this complex, adaptive, blended learning, you listed out six parts,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Ma'am, these six parts, they may be adapted to a very good teacher like you, probably who have done MOOCs. But for a general teacher who has just, after COVID, has just entered into this online teaching, how do you think he will mold himself to this adaptive blended learning, these six parts of it?
Sir, as far as different aspects of blended learning is concerned, in my presentation itself, I have declared that when it comes to blending synchronous and asynchronous learning, the first important thing to consider by a faculty is the development of a content. If a content of your subject is not developed at your end, it is not possible for you to create personalized instruction for your student. I do not want to name a university. That university forcefully said to their faculty member to to design video recorded lectures for the student and upload those lectures on an LMS. And even the students of that university are not assessing that LMS facility. So if that kind of resources, that kind of practices have been used and performed at institute level, it is not possible for the faculty to grow. That is why it is being said the role of institute is very important. So when we said there are six sub components that are working together at an institute level, and all those sub components are working within themselves also, at institute level there must be a framework created where they are able to interact with each other. Say for example, there is a faculty member at your institute who is a senior in age, maybe above 60. That faculty member is not able to integrate technology in his day to day teaching, so it is very much difficult for that faculty to create a blended kind of experience. There is another faculty member at that institute in this that department only. That faculty know that how to integrate technology, but that faculty is not ready to spend time when it comes to collecting information from different resources. Can those two faculty members sit together? One faculty member will scrutinize an information and other faculty member, after understanding the content, integrate the technology. So that kind of approaches we need to develop at institute level, where we can work collaboratively and cooperatively. So there is a competition between the faculty, but that competition isn't healthy enough to create content for our learners. So that kind of
Thank you,
approach is
ma'am.
required.
I got the brief concept. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So if there is another question is how to handle copyright issue, sharing of soft copy of textbook when students do not have access to hard copy during the COVID situation. So ma'am, when it comes to identifying the resources from different online resources from different websites, on the resource itself it is clearly mentioned that whether you are able to access that resource or not. So on that PDF, if it is written that copyright of this for academic purposes, many of the content available online, you can distribute that content among your student, but you are not able to use that content commercially. Say for example, I'm designing an online course, a content is being extracted from me from an internet resource, but I am designing that course, say for Khan Academy or for any another commercial platform. So for that case, I am not going to use that source because that source is copyright with some other organization. For my academic purposes, for my student, I can simply distribute that resource. So open educational online resources are available. So those resources are in abundance. The teacher can have a look that what are the various open online resources available with me. So from that particular resources, you are able to use that resources. Say to name a few, say uh, Government of India MOOC platforms are free to use. There is MIT Open Courseware, Open Learn UK, directory of open access journals are there, OpenStack colleges, Wiki Education, OER Common, NPTEL India. So there are number of resources as far as academic concerns are concerned. So there is a very much resources available with us to use. So faculty need to carefully select that resource before using. So copyright need to be considered very effectively.
Any other participant has any question? Please write it in the chat box or you can just raise your hand. Ma'am, we have some general questions. Can we take up those?
Yes, Manisha, sure.
Ma'am, first, most of them are asking about the feedback link.
The feedback link for this particular program.
Well, ma'am, they are asking whether it will be session wise, day wise, or for the full program.
Since this particular course is being provided by Atal Academy AICT India, at last day on Friday, the feedback link will be provided to all the faculty members. So you have to go to that Atal Academy link. On that Atal Academy link, you have to fill that feedback form. And to fill feedback is compulsory by AICT. If you are unable to fill that feedback form, your certificate will not be issued by AICT. So at NITR Chandigarh, we are collecting feedback at our end, but you have to fill the feedback form provided to you all on that Atal Academy platform. So it is compulsory to fill by the faculty. So session wise, there will be no feedback. Another important thing to consider is you all are attending this particular platform course sponsored by AICT India, and the conditions put by AICT India as far as certification of this particular course is concerned. On Friday, there will be a compulsory test for all the participants, and you have to score, I think, 60 or 65% for that particular test. After that, only the certificate will be issued to you. 80% of attendance is compulsory by the participant. If you are failed to fulfill the criteria, again AICT will not issue you the certificate. So you need to consider all these aspects. After that, only AICT will issue you a certificate. NITR is not going to issue any kind of certificate, and we are not going to manipulate your attendance also. So you have to be punctual and regular. Yes, Manisha, is there
Ma'am,
any other question?
ma'am, yes. So, as far as general questions are concerned, as ma'am has announced, somebody is saying 60% in the test. So, yes, 60% in the test, which will be given to you on the last day, ma'am.
Yes, on the last day.
And
So many of the statements that we designed for that particular test is only from these sessions only. So the test will not be difficult. This is related to the content that we have covered during that course, but you have to score weightage for that test to have certificate.
ma'am, one of the participant is asking how would I know my attendance is 80%? Please clear this.
Sir, if you log into our system, say at 10 o'clock, WebEx will record that you will be here with us. Whenever you are leaving the system, again, there is a record available with us on an platform.
Ma'am, there are two questions relevant to the topic. The
Yes.
first one was, while preparing e-content, can we use online Google images or not?
So if the images are free from the copyright content, you can use. If a copyright issue is related to those content, you are not able to use. So that need to be checked first.
And ma'am, the next is,
Manisha, you are also expert in this, na?
oh, which one, ma'am? Google images.
Yes, in Google Images, because many of the PowerPoint presentations are prepared by Manisha only
I'm
for our different courses.
yes, ma'am. Still learning, but we must ensure that they are copyright free. Yes, ma'am.
Copyright free, yes.
Ma'am, the next question is blended learning means to interact with each and individual student with enough time?
Sir, as far as the different experiences created under blended learning is concerned, it totally dependent upon what kind of blended learning model you are going to use. So those models we are going to discuss in our tomorrow class second session. So after that, you will be clear that what kind of experiences you want to create for your student. So accordingly, you are going to select a model. So it can be personalized instruction, it can be instructions for the whole class.
Okay,
Another participant asked that how to make student acquaint with flipped classroom and blended learning. So as far as flipped classrooms are concerned, it is only a sub-component of a blended learning. So these practices are very much new for the student as well as for the faculty. But if the teacher is perfectly planned for the class, the activity specification is clear and informed to the student. It is the control of the teacher to the student that teacher can simply plan a class in this manner only. Yes, Manisha.
ma'am just pasted a question. The question is, can we use NPTEL content for e-recording of lecture of students? And is it copyright free?
As far as NPTEL content is concerned, NPTEL is free to use because it is comes under the category of open educational resources. But my question to the participant is, once the content is already being developed on that platform, e-content is available, video recorded lecture is available, why you are want to spend your time on that particular content? You can simply map that content and provide it to the student instead of recording that content again and again. So, see, this is the problem in our country. The content is already available. The content is available with many of the good organizational institution also, but in each and every institution and even the individual participants are recording their videos and uploading on different platforms. That is of no use. Rather than creating content again and again, you select the content from a very good resource, map that content according to your curriculum, and if you want to make changes in that particular content, you can simply tailor made that content for the need of your student. So no need to recreate content again and again. Identify a content, tailor that content, and then use that content. But if you are using content from any resource, kindly consider the source and display that source on the platform itself.
Ma'am,
Otherwise, NPTEL is an open educational resource. You can use